So we're here at CCAR, and we're talking to Matt, and Matt's going to tell us his story and how we got to CCAR.
Hi, my name is Matt. I am 30 years old. It's been a long journey. I was born in a small town in Connecticut, Naugatuck, and I pretty much grew up pretty closed in most of my life till when I was around 11 or 12. Some traumatic sexual experiences had happened, and I became somewhat dependent on drugs from that experience. From then on, my life kind of went downhill. I acted very impulsively growing up, cutting myself, burning myself, really anything for instant gratification. That's where it kind of began after that trauma had happened. I really lost all self-discipline. And through the years, around 14, my dad, would allow me to use and get high during the house with him. So that's what I did after my mom had left us. A lot of, arrests and stuff like that growing up as a teenager. The drugs got more and more higher in strength and class until I was smoking cocaine and doing heroin on a regular basis. By the time I was 17, after I'd had my daughter, I was arrested, put in jail for 5 years for conspiracy for robbery. It had to do with drugs, and that experience really changed me. I never thought I would make it out of there alive, and I did. And upon release, I was sober for a couple of months, and I had relapsed again. It was hard for me to get into a regular habit, like regular living. I never knew how to live a life. So back to jail I went for violations, for dirty urines, and I was brought to a place called Perception House, which I stayed the first time for 6 months. About 6 months later, I had relapsed again and had came back for a 9-month stay, which had led me to living down here in Willimantic. And in Willimantic, I had found CCAR. CCAR has been a place for me that I can be myself. I can be around other people who are like-minded, who want to do better things with themselves. And that's always been something hard for me. I have a personality disorder along with some other issues, so I usually gravitate towards people that are more disturbed or as disturbed as I am, which never leads me anywhere far. So CCAR has been an extremely healthy thing in teaching me just how to be an adult male in recovery. And that's something I never thought I would be able to do. I've been clean now for about 8 months, and it's the longest time I've ever had clean out of a program in my entire life. And CCAR, the groups, the people, it's something that I have to look forward to go to every day for support. And without this place, I don't know where I would be. I'm extremely grateful for the people I've met. I have a lot of strong men in recovery. I've had a lot of trust issues with them my whole life and have feared them. I've been bullied by them. I've been sexually abused by them. And this is the first time I've been able to have a healthy relationship with an adult male that doesn't involve, some sort of coercive behavior. And I really never believed that would be able to be. So I am extremely grateful. And right now in recovery, I'm just doing my best to work on the things that keep bringing me back out. And I work with 2 sponsors. I have a female and a male, which works for me. And so I'm just going to continue on this path. And thank you for letting me share my story.
My recovery. I actually came out here to Willimantic January, I want to say 7th of 2016. I went into recovery the day after Christmas 2015. So that was December 26th, 2015. I went into recovery. I detoxed for about 11 days. Came out here to Willimantic at the Thomas Murphy Center. I was there for 3 months. Of course, I think the first week or so I thought I wasn't even going to stay. I was ready to go after a day or two. Thankfully, my mom put things into perspective for me and told me, Frankie, you're not coming back here. So I actually stayed, and over time I've made Willimantic my home. I've made it a purpose to, further my recovery, and not just further mine, and now that I'm actually working in the field, I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to give away what I've been taught, and hopefully continue a ripple effect by doing that. I think sharing your story, can have a huge impact on a person fresh in recovery. And I've dealt with a lot throughout my childhood, through my teens. My teens is when I started using. I was 15 years old. Well, 13, started smoking cigarettes. I think that was my gateway drug, cigarettes. And from there, I started smoking weed and drinking, partying on the weekends. I think it was like 8th grade. After 8th grade that summer, I was off to the races. Doing everything under the sun, and then came traveling the United States. I did we were I experienced a lot doing.
So it began for you as a social.
Yeah, for the most part, but again, some of the things that I dealt with as a child, I dealt with molestation, through a babysitter, and I also witnessed my mother's rape. A lot of that impacted me in my late teens, to the point where I just, I buried those emotions and those feelings with drugs and alcohol,
Right.
In any shape, way, or form. I did not discriminate as far as the drugs went, nor the alcohol, and they didn't discriminate against me as well. And my mother, she's literally my rock. She always has been. My father unfortunately passed away when I was 1. So I'm the middle child. I was always a mommy's boy. She raised me to have good morals and values, and obviously through the process of using drugs and alcohol, I lost a lot of those. They didn't matter to me. Being in recovery and going through the Thomas Murphy Center, a lot of those morals and values slowly came back. And I think they were always there. I just didn't rely on them. I didn't make them a part of my everyday life. For me, that was something that was necessary. As far as getting to a place in my life where I can actually, I want to say be human again, and feel somewhat normal. Normal, I actually really don't really like that word too much, because what is normal? Everybody has their issues, I think, and some of us need to continually work on them, and that goes for myself. I think this is a day-to-day process. One of my things is, as far as an affirmation goes, it's continue to go to bed grateful and wake up willing. So I try every day processing my day to the best of my ability. If I'm going through something, I'm going to talk to somebody about it, because I've learned that I can't hold on to everything myself. I can't carry the weight myself. And I think it was January of about a year after I got into recovery. It was January 2017. I literally and I truly gave my life over to God. And I think having that extra little, like somebody else to just rely on 24/7, gave me a huge relief. When I started going to church, I started, doing. I became part of the worship team through my church. I started doing Celebrate Recovery, which is also a faith-based, faith-based recovery fellowship, and that's what's been working for me. I did AA, NA for quite a while. I did 290 and 90s back to back when I got out of the Murphy Center. And, I've learned a lot in this process, and I think without the people that I've met in the rooms and both fellowships, AA and NA, I wouldn't be where I am today. I've been able to take a lot of what I've learned. I hated the Thomas Murphy Center when I first started, when I first started there as a client. I actually ended up going back there and working for him a year and a half later into my recovery. I worked there for about 7 or 8 months, and that was honestly something that I never actually expected or imagined myself to do, just working in the recovery field itself. But it was an absolute amazing privilege, absolutely amazing honor to be, an ex-client that's able to actually now give back. And I don't know, it was just unexplainable, really, the emotions and the feelings that I felt while I was working there. But I felt a great connection with a lot of the people that came through there, just like I did. Mm-hmm. And I think they were actually, very grateful that they had somebody there that has gone through the same process as them.
So, do you know about Willimantic's history of, supposedly being heroin town? And
I do. Honestly, I didn't know anything about it until I came out here. My brother, when I told him I was out in Willimantic, he calls it Willarico. I still get a kick out of it. But when I tell people that I've gotten my recovery out here in Willimantic, their eyes just pop open. They're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I still live out there. I made it my home. Mm-hmm. And I made it a purpose to stick around and stay because I see then the impact that it's not only had on me in my life, mm-hmm. but the impact it's had on others as well. And I want to continue that. I really feel committed to this process of recovery. I in the 2 years and 7 months that I have under my belt, I wouldn't be in this seat talking to you if it weren't for the people before me. So I want to continue that, and like I said earlier, that ripple effect. I want to be able to give that away. You can't keep what you have unless you give it away, and for me that's huge. I want to be able to, I want to be one of those people that, people could look back on years from now and say, I wouldn't be where I am without him or her, and the people that actually stuck around and gave back.
Right.
This town is small, but it's not as small as we think. There's quite a lot of people out here. There's quite a few different sober houses. There's a lot of people coming in and out as far as the recovery thing goes, but I think this is definitely a good place to start for a lot of people. There's plenty of meetings out in this area. There's plenty of people to talk to. I think it's just all about networking and getting yourself involved. You have P House, you have Thomas Murphy Center, which is now Roots to Recovery, you have Next Step, and then all the sober houses that are in the area as well. I think this town is, you touched base on like heroin town earlier, and I don't think, just because I changed locations from where I was to where I am here, that I don't think that really matters. I think if I go out there and start looking for the stuff, mm-hmm. It's anywhere. You know, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, the ex-heroin capital of the world or Enfield, Connecticut. From, you know,
Right.
I think this town is a beautiful place. Or, you know, I mean, you got Eastern right here, you got Storrs, Connecticut, Yukon down the road. You know what I mean? And there's a lot to do, a lot for you to be able to, you know, come out here and just get involved and, you know, not, you know, you don't have to, like, I don't have to put myself in stupid situations and go out there and looking for trouble. You know, I mean, it's just not.
Right.
CCAR has had a huge impact on my life. Just being a volunteer here, coming down here, being able to make telephone recovery support calls, you know, reaching out to recoveries, whether they were doing good, you know, or struggling. There were some recoveries that weren't able to get to meetings, or, you know, I mean, their only way of having that communication with somebody else that's going through what they have themselves was that phone call. So that was an absolute honor and privilege. But I used to come down here just to even mop the floors, clean seats, tables off, you know what I mean, for the meeting, set up coffee, and mop, like, again, mop the place clean and running, you know what I mean. And there's a gentleman who's now my boss, through CCAR, Jay Osborne, and he had a huge impact on my recovery. As far as, you know, I came here and I was still had all this armor on, and I didn't want anybody to get to know me, and he was actually one of the people that helped me get out of my shell, you know. And you know, sooner or later I started opening up about a lot of the things that I've done, a lot of the things that I've gone through. You know, CCAR is definitely a place where you can definitely, you know, you can come down here, feel comfortable, not feel judged, and feel human again. You know, feel loved again, cared for. I could go on forever and ever about recovery, about this town. I couldn't be more at home, you know, and feel more loved and wanted by a community. You know, I can't remember the last time I felt judged coming into CCAR, or, you know, I don't know, my life is literally, you know, I've done a little, what do they say, a 180 in my life, and, you know, completely turned everything around. So things are, I don't know, you know, things are definitely looking up for me. So.
Sounds good. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Roxana.
Okay. And how did you come to CCAR?
I came down here to volunteer.
And how long you've been around volunteering?
About 2 months now.
Okay. And what made you want to volunteer?
Just to help out with my recovery, stay on track, get involved with meetings and with other people in recovery, get a network.
Okay. When you talk about recovery, what does that mean to you?
It means, like, just staying involved with other people, learning about the community, learning how to start a new lifestyle, staying out of trouble, learning new different type of people. Like, they have a board up here telling us when meetings are and different activities and stuff around here, around CCAR.
Okay. And what do you do with the rest of your day?
I am actually starting a new job this week, and I go to meetings every single night. I have a sponsor. I live in a sober house. I've been there for about a month now. I'm about 90 days clean now. It's been a lot of fun, actually. It's a big, huge process. It's been a little complicated. It's been a little bit stressful. I deal with DCF. I see my daughter every single week. I see her once a week. I say it's stressful because I deal with a lot of family problems as well. My mom's really, really sick, and so is my grandmother, and dealing with that and then trying to stay sober at the same time, it's kind of complicated. That's why I stay with meetings, and staying here at CCAR, it really helps. Staying involved with people and having a network, it really does help. Having people to talk to about it, it helps a lot. It really does. It's just, stress is a big, huge trigger to me. It involved the stress added onto my relapse last time, and it really didn't help. So this time around, I really got to stay with meetings and stay stress free. At least try, try my hardest. So it's all one day at a time.
Is this the longest you've been sober?
No, the longest that I've been sober was 7.5 months, and then I relapsed for about 2 months, and then I came back.
So, in the past, did you get support from your mom and grandma?
Yeah, I did. I had support from them, but I wasn't really involved in my recovery. I thought I was. I went to meetings like 3 times a day. I got sponsors, but they weren't really the right sponsors for me. I found a way to manipulate the system. I manipulated everybody in my life. I ended up selling drugs at the same time in my recovery. I still dealt with the same people, the same town. I went to meetings and I would just goof off in them. I'd be the highlight of every situation. I'd talk for no reason. I would say the stupidest things. I would just play on my phone. I would raise my hand and just say, "Hey, I'm Roxy. I'm in a meeting. How are you?" And that would be my meeting. I'd just be there just to get guys and just to make friends the wrong way. And this time around, I'm doing it a completely different way. I actually sit back and listen to the women and not the men. And I sit back and I listen very, very much. And it's made this time a lot more different. I feel much more, I feel stronger this time. And that makes it a lot more helpful. It makes me feel a little bit more at ease. I've been able to find myself a lot better. And I really like it. I'm a little bit weirder this time. I am. But hey, it's all part of finding yourself. It's all part of the steps too. So last time I was in recovery, I didn't do step work. I didn't do anything besides just goof off and just have fun and thought I was in recovery. And this time I'm actually sticking my feet in it and trying it out and doing it. Because people, they always said that you may want to try something, but you know what? You can't just try it. You got to do it. So I'm doing it one day at a time.
You sound strong.
There's a lot of benefits of recovery. There really are. I would never ever want to go back to the lifestyle I was at, ever. Day in my life. I would never ever want to walk the streets again. Ever. Well, I walk the streets now to go to work, but I wouldn't want to walk the streets again for money. I would never want to do that again. I wouldn't want to be walking the streets trying to find drugs. I wouldn't want to be sitting in a trap house waiting for that next hit. I'm sick of doing that. I'm sick of doing that. I'm sick of not being able to talk to my mom. I was sick of not being able to talk to my grandmother and not being honest with them. It's great to be honest with them. It's great to finally have myself back and be able to look into that mirror. It's great to be able to open up to somebody. It's great to finally be myself. Yes, it's scary. Yes, recovery is scary. Scary. It is. Cannot lie about that. It is very scary. But you know what? It's scarier at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the dark, being in some random dude's car, waiting to get money. That was scary. So if I can deal with everything that I used to deal with, I think I can do this. And I think everybody else can too. Because I've seen a lot of people who have been through a lot of bad things too do it. And if they can do it, I can do it, and so can they. Anybody can do it. You just gotta give yourself a chance. I'm giving myself a chance to have a better life, to give my daughter a better life. Seeing her every week, seeing her smile and say, "Mommy," is it's the best thing in the world. It really is. She turned 6 this year. She's going into 1st grade. Yeah, she's smart. She's so smart. And I have a nephew too. He's 1.5. He just started walking. And I just seen him yesterday, and he is in love with me, and being able to hold him and being able to have a relationship with them is just amazing. Like, I almost had my daughter taken away from me, and to be able to know that I can be reunified with my daughter is incredible. Like, I thought her daughter, I thought her father was really going to take her away from me, because I was so hung up on crack and dope, and so just, I was prostituting, and just, I was just crazy. That I really thought I was going to lose my daughter. Everything that gave me hope. Like, she's my little bit of hope that life was going to get better when she was born. And then life just got to the worst. And I thought she was just going to be taken away. And now she has been my biggest motivation that life can get better. It can. She's the only thing that I hold on to right now. Like, my mom. All the resources are out there. Just gotta ask for it. You do. It's hard for me to humble myself and ask for help. It is. I'm still getting used to it. Still am. It's hard for me even when I was using to ask for help, crazy enough. So it's really hard for me to ask for help right now. But I'm trying. But it was hard for me to get into detox. It was hard for me to get into a rehab. But I still did it. Even though I was court stipulated to go to rehab, I asked the judge to send me to rehab because I know I needed it. I didn't want to go to jail. I would have went to jail for, he said, like 25 years or something for all my charges. And I would have definitely lost my daughter. I would have lost my family. I would have came back to nothing. So the resources are out there. Help is out there. And I just remember every day that I am worth it, and that every day is another reason not to use, and that recovery is really possible. It is. Like, while I was using, I've dealt with a lot of, I call them horror stories. And if any female can get through any of those situations, you can get through recovery. Bottom line. At least that's how I feel. If you can be a trick, if you can be a female and sell drugs, you can get through recovery.
You can be a female that was abused in your love relationship.
You can get through recovery. Simple as that. Right. Being myself and not have to fake it. I used to be able to adapt to any situation and be who people wanted me to be just for the drugs or just for the money or just to make a friend. And now I can be Roxy.
Right.
I can be me.
Right.
And I like that.
It was a song, you called it good for a long, longed for time. You had made up your mind. When we first discovered love, it was a seed within your glove. For a long, longed for time, you were making up your mind. For a long, longed for time, as you made up your mind.